The scene opens and we see a fleet of limos speeding down the road, while on TV a broadcast of a speech plays. This is the speech by newly sworn-in President Charles Halsey, and he mentions his campaign slogan, "Let us be your friends." The scene shifts to inside one limo where Halsey and his wife Elizabeth are. They also watch the speech on TV and they are very happy. Halsey shows his dedication when he comments that he has a lot of promises to keep. The couple starts to make out and celebrate their presidential win. They are on their way to the inauguration ball, but on the way, President Charles Halsey, who followed President Burns, is unexpectedly diverted. As the limo takes a turn from the decided route, both Halsey and his wife Elizabeth are shocked. He questions the driver where he is taking them. The driver informs them that they have some emergency. Instead of heading to the grand celebration, the limousine, followed by security, arrives at a secure nuclear bunker. At the nuclear bunker, Halsey is greeted by Tarkman. He demands to know what is going on, but Tarkman emphasizes that they have an emergency but does not disclose what it is. He asks him and Elizabeth to follow him and takes them inside the bunker, where Halsey is met by a team, largely composed of holdovers from Burns's administration. This includes Tarkman, Burns' national security advisor, who brings a wealth of experience in international crises, Dr. Janet Brevson, Burns' junior science advisor, known for her groundbreaking work in renewable energy, and General Covington, the head of the military's space program, a decorated officer with a vision for the future of space exploration. Also present are key members of the transition team who have been working tirelessly to ensure a smooth handover of power. There he learns that astronomers have discovered an object hurtling through space at half the speed of light, and it's predicted to collide with Earth within 30 minutes, threatening to wipe out human civilization. American military leaders urgently advise President Halsey to mobilize the military to provide some semblance of security for the potential survivors of the impending impact. Nations around the globe follow suit, putting their military systems on high alert, leading to rising tensions and the looming threat of international conflict. However, calculations soon reveal that the object will narrowly miss Earth. Instead, the staff in the bunker watch in awe and relief as the object crashes into the far side of the moon, creating an immense fireball. The sight is both terrifying and magnificent, a cosmic close call that leaves the world holding its breath. But the celebrations are short-lived. Astronomers soon identify a group of objects trailing behind the original, revealing to the president that this is, in fact, a fleet of spaceships. President Halsey decides to keep this information from the rest of the world, a decision that sparks heated arguments between the military and civilian personnel in the bunker. Theories about the purpose of the original object begin to surface. Military leaders argue it was a deliberate display of force meant to intimidate Earth into submission. In contrast, the scientists propose it was part of a complex maneuver to slow down the fleet. As tensions rise and debates intensify, the staff in the bunker grapple with the uncertainty of humanity's future and the best course of action in the face of this unprecedented threat. As the arguments continue, a fax arrives from Moscow, revealing that the Russians are also aware of the approaching fleet and are resolute in their determination to protect their country at all costs. The atmosphere in the bunker grows tenser as the fleet draws nearer to Earth. Suddenly, an American military communications satellite is overloaded and disabled by an energy pulse, further complicating the situation. The civilian scientists argue that the aliens are trying to communicate and inadvertently damage the satellite. In contrast, the military leaders insist that this is a deliberate act to disable Earth's communications as a precursor to an invasion. Amidst the escalating tension and uncertainty, the First Lady Elizabeth advises the president to remain calm. She voices her belief that the aliens have peaceful intentions and that a rash response could lead to unnecessary conflict. However, President Halsey gradually succumbs to the arguments of the military and orders a further escalation of military readiness. His leading general reveals that the United States possesses a nuclear weapon on board a space shuttle, advising the president to deploy it against the approaching fleet. Halsey is shocked to learn about this weapon, which is in direct violation of international treaties. The military admits its illegality, but argues that it is their only chance of defending the planet against the potential alien threat. Meanwhile, the Russians also mobilize their nuclear deterrents, announcing their intention to use these weapons against any alien forces that violate Russian airspace. The alien fleet has approached Earth and settles into orbit around Earth. Another satellite picks up a signal from the alien fleet. Scientists at NASA urgently contact the bunker, to report that they have intercepted a video message embedded within an energy beam that the aliens sent to the second satellite. They quickly relay the message to the bunker's communications center. The message reveals a humanoid alien figure delivering a speech in a strange and unintelligible language. Despite efforts to decipher it, the language remains a mystery to the scientists and linguists analyzing the transmission. Meanwhile, scientists in the bunker come to a startling realization. The object that impacted the moon was a quantum singularity, which provided an immense and virtually limitless source of energy for the alien fleet. Civilian advisors in the bunker propose a provocative idea. Perhaps the impact on the moon was not a threat, but a gift. They argue that this event could be humanity's opportunity to leapfrog technological barriers and advance its space exploration capabilities significantly. The military staunchly argues that the impact on the moon was a calculated display of the aliens' advanced weaponry capabilities. They strongly advocate for deploying the nuclear warhead aboard the shuttle as a preemptive strike against what they perceive as a potential threat. Meanwhile, the press intensifies its scrutiny of President Halsey's actions, highlighting criticism from his opponents who accuse him of betraying his campaign promise of, "Let me be your friend," through perceived inaction in the face of the alien presence. As tensions escalate globally, suspicions arise among the Russians that the United States may be engaging in secret negotiations with the aliens. In a bold move to address these mounting concerns, President Halsey defies his military advisors and orders the release of the intercepted alien message to the public. This decision infuriates his generals, who view it as a reckless move that could jeopardize national security. Additionally, Halsey records a video message in response, explaining that Earth is composed of many sovereign nations, and he cannot speak definitively on behalf of all of them. President Halsey extends a cautious welcome to the aliens, acknowledging the escalating global tensions and emphasizing the need for diplomacy. He announces that the aliens must remain in orbit until a formal diplomatic summit can be organized between humanity and the extraterrestrial visitors. This message is promptly relayed to both the alien fleet and the global community, setting the stage for a new phase of interaction with the unknown visitors. In response to Halsey's declaration, the Russians assert their military readiness, positioning themselves assertively to ensure a prominent role in the upcoming negotiations. Back in the bunker, another message from the aliens is intercepted and relayed to the staff. Once again, the cryptanalysts grapple with the challenge of deciphering the alien language, frustrated by the complexity and unfamiliarity of the communication. President Halsey consults with his top general on the next likely move if the aliens' intentions turn hostile. The general predicts that the aliens might send a scout to assess human defenses. Sure enough, one of the ships breaks formation and enters Earth's atmosphere, prompting an immediate military response. Demands for a show of force intensify as the ship streaks towards the Pacific Ocean, ultimately impacting the water at an astonishing Mach 5 speed. Shaken by the sudden escalation and the realization that a potential invasion could be imminent, President Halsey finds himself paralyzed by the weight of the decision ahead. His civilian advisors, including the First Lady Elizabeth, rally around him, urging him to consider that the aliens may have misunderstood his message of welcome or interpreted it solely as an invitation to Earth. President Halsey's generals vehemently argue that the entry of the alien ship into Earth's atmosphere signals the beginning of a full-scale invasion. In response to the perceived threat, Halsey issues orders to escalate the United States military readiness to DEFCON 2, heightening tensions to their second-highest alert level. Simultaneously, the Russians mobilize their nuclear forces, prepared to launch strikes against any additional alien forces that may approach the planet. Within the bunker, some of the scientific staff voice speculative theories about the aliens potentially inhabiting a water-based environment. This speculation triggers alarm among the military leaders, who fear that the aliens' intent may be to invade Earth in order to control its oceans. Faced with mounting military panic and the perceived urgency of the situation, President Halsey reluctantly succumbs to the pressure and orders an immediate response using the nuclear warhead aboard the space shuttle. At the same time, the Russians initiate their own nuclear missile launches from submarines stationed in the Bering Sea, aiming directly at the alien fleet orbiting above. As tensions escalate to a critical point, the aliens swiftly retaliate by targeting the American space shuttle and Russian submarines with devastating energy beams, obliterating them instantly. In a chilling turn of events, the aliens then launch two powerful warheads aimed directly at Washington, D.C. and Moscow. In the bunker, the stunned staff quickly grasp the aliens' grim intentions. It becomes clear that the aliens perceive Washington and Moscow as the world's capitals and view these preemptive strikes as necessary to protect their fleet from further human aggression and to prevent Earth from launching a catastrophic nuclear counterattack. As the deadly bombs hurtle toward their targets, the realization dawns upon the bunker's occupants that the citizens of Washington and Moscow face an imminent and catastrophic fate. The atmosphere is heavy with despair and helplessness as they contemplate the tragic consequences of the escalating conflict between humanity and an advanced alien civilization. In the tense and harrowing moments before the bomb strike in Washington, a fax finally arrives from the cryptanalysts, bearing crucial news. They have successfully decoded the aliens' original message. It is revealed that the aliens do indeed live in a liquid environment and had been attempting to communicate in plain English, having intercepted and studied numerous Earth transmissions during their journey. With the garbled message clarified, Halsey's chief civilian advisor rushes to inform him of the profound revelation. The original transmission simply conveyed the plea, "Let us be your friends," the slogan of Halsey's own campaign. A wave of regret washes over President Halsey as he comprehends the catastrophic misunderstanding that has led to this tragic escalation. In the final heartbreaking moments, a blinding flash signifies the impact of the bombs on Washington. To those who would fail to heed their own words, be warned, you never know who's listening. And that's all for today, guys. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Recap Nest for more sci-fi stories like these. Stay safe and see you next time.